Uterine fibroids represents a critical and growing public health crisis for African women, with up to 80% affected by age 50, a rate far higher and with more severe symptoms than in other populations. These non-cancerous tumors cause debilitating symptoms like excessive bleeding, chronic pain and infertility. African women experience early onset, a faster growth, and larger tumors, leading to higher rates of surgical intervention. Key drivers include dietary shifts towards processed foods high in sugar and additives like monosodium glutamate, that's MSG, reduced physical activity and increased emotional stress. Traditional diets and active lifestyles once served as protection, but urbanization and westernization have shifted these patterns. Despite the high prevalence, research into causes and locally available treatments remains limited. Experts call for greater attention to diet, lifestyle and environmental factors, alongside increased investment in culturally relevant healthcare solutions to address this widespread but often overlooked condition. Gynecologist and MD CEO Nordica Fertility Center, Dr. Abayomi Ajayi, joins us now for an expert analysis of the rising cases of uterine fibroids in Africa and how to manage the health challenge without the use of knife, otherwise known as HIFU. Welcome to Newsday, sir.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
So when we talk about this ailment, what exactly do we mean, first of all?
Well, when we talk about fibroids, they are growths that are non-cancerous most of the time, that grow on the uterus and sometimes in the uterus. So, and they represent the commonest tumors that women have in their pelvis. And like you said in your intro, the risk is about 70 to 80%. So there are many women carrying fibroids, but majority of them might not be symptomatic.
So what does that imply, especially looking at the fact that you can be asymptomatic and you're going about carrying this disease? What's the major cause of this disease, and what's the implication of not knowing that you're a carrier?
Well, the major cause, I think we're still in the dark about that. It's a lot of research going on, but we believe that genetics are involved. That's why it probably is commoner amongst us who are black people. And also the hormones also are involved. Estrogen in women and progesterone, they are definitely involved. But how exactly this happens, we don't know. Okay, but we know that there are some risk factors also, that if you don't, for people who don't have children on time, that there is the chance that fibroids will develop. For people who are obese, it's also a risk factor. Okay, but probably the commonest thing is a family history.
So yeah, I was asking what the implication of not knowing that you're a carrier is.
Well, they say what you don't know does not harm you, but not in the case of fibroids, you know. So, but yeah, because it keeps growing and it can get to a stage where it now becomes symptomatic. But you know, the interesting thing is that some people actually know, but it's not giving them any problem yet. And they continue to live with it. Even when the symptoms come, they start normalizing the symptoms, okay, because they are afraid of surgery. And so, yes, if you don't know, it's something, because in a large number of people, it's either when you're pregnant, they do a scan, then they see fibroids, or when you go for your normal annual physical examination in women who do that regularly. So, and they pick that they have fibroids.
So how does it affect the daily life of women with these symptoms?
Thank you. Now, there was a study done in the southwest part of Nigeria involving 2 teaching hospitals, and they gathered their experiences, and they told us that what they found out was that the commonest symptom from fibroids is that women bleed. The bleeding becomes heavier during their menses. Okay, and that is like you are losing blood. Okay, so anemia sometimes coming, that is shortage of blood. And then what this does to you is that concentration is affected because the blood level is low. You might become irritable. Definitely productivity is reduced. Okay, and in some people, they actually could have heart failure from this, you know. So we see some people just go to the market and they slump at the market, and then bring them, you see that the blood level is low. So, but apart from that, the fact that also the commonest symptom that they found was that abdominal swelling. For some women, people actually congratulate them that they are pregnant. and all they have is fibroids, which has grown, because it can really grow to like the size of a 9-month-old pregnancy. So in some people, and that's because they've started normalizing. The symptoms are there, but they've started normalizing. At least you see something is growing in your tummy,
yes.
and you are not pregnant. So, but because of the fear of surgery, many people will rather say, if it does not get to the point of really disturbing me, I really don't want to disturb it.
So talking about pregnancy, how does it affect pregnancy, especially seeing that it can be, it can mimic the appearance of pregnancy itself?
Okay, depends on two things, how big it is and the exact location of the fibroid. There are some fibroids that are big, but they might not really affect pregnancy so much. So the location actually matters. When this fibroid is where the baby should be, what we call the endometrium, okay, then the size does not even matter. It's likely to affect pregnancy, okay. But if it's outside the uterus, it might go big to an extent before actually it can affect pregnancy. But sometimes when women get pregnant, the things that it does is that the blood supply to the fibroid is limited, and therefore the fibroid starts complaining. So we have something that we call regeneration, which means that the woman has a lot of pain, and then she's pregnant, but she's having pain. It's not related to the pregnancy itself. It's the fibroid that is really complaining that the blood supply is not enough. So most of the time, these women are admitted in the hospital for bed rest for prolonged periods of time. But sometimes also when you want to deliver, it might just be in the way, so that the baby doesn't really come down because of the fibroid that is, especially is in, exactly. So might be a cause for a cesarean section.
So is surgery the only option when it comes to treatment?
Well, that's the good news now, because a few years ago that was the only option. But now we know that there are many other things that can be done for fibroids. Okay. Starting from just watching, okay, because that's why the age of the woman is important. For a woman who has completed her family and she has fibroids and she's nearing menopause, you can just wait and watch, okay, if the symptoms are not too bad, okay. But for also the drugs now that can be used, and there's so much improvement even in the drug industry about that. Before it was only injectables that we could use, but now there are some tablets that can be used. But this can only be used for women who have either finished their family or they are not intending to get pregnant. But if you intend to get pregnant, because these drugs will not make you get pregnant. Okay, so, but surgery used to be the commonest thing, but I think the milieu is beginning to change, because now we have something we call HIFU, which is a completely non-invasive way of treating fibroids. And yesterday we treated number 851. So we invite you when we treat 1,000 because we think we're probably going to have the largest collection of fibroids treatment in the next couple of months.
Okay, can you tell us about the concept HIFU?
Okay, HIFU means high intensity focused ultrasound. So the principle actually is ultrasound. All right. But what is different this time is that there's a software that really makes the ultrasound to be focused at a particular point. Now, once it does that, it's like playing with the magnifying glass as kids, where the paper starts burning if you put it at a particular distance. So it's the same thing. The ultrasound is focused at a particular distance, and the temperature in that area increases. Once the temperature in the cell goes above 65 degrees centigrade, then something we call denaturization takes place. Denature. Okay. And what that means is that because cells are made of protein, our body is made of protein. So if you denature it, then it's like you have killed it.
Okay.
So, and that's the same thing that we do to the fibroids. So we kill the fibroids, kill the blood supply around it, and then the body starts assimilating it and it starts shrinking. But at this time now, we now start monitoring how the shrinkage is going. We expect about, after 3 months, it will be about 30%. After about 6 months, it will be about 50%. About 1 year, it will be about 75%. So depending on how big the fibroid was when we started, some fibroids actually disappear.
All right.
But some are still left behind, but they do not in any way disturb anymore because they are dead.
It actually is very comforting to know that surgery is not the only option. At least many women can now, go and consult a doctor to get treated. Thank you so much for your time on the show, Dr. Abayomi Ajayi, MD, CEO, Medical Fertility Center, and a gynecologist. Thank you for your time.